Good afternoon, students, and Jai Hind. Uh, we are studying about the Sufism. Understand? Our study is centered on Sufism. We know very well that these Sufis, as I taught in ancient period, that uh, Gautam Buddha and the Jains, they now followed and uh, use the language very easy or the simple or the language of the masses for the propagation of their principles and their ideas amongst the common man. Understand, we have studied because the ideas and the views that is communicated in a common language, that certainly gets the success. Understand? That's why these saints, or we know that people on a large scale were now drifting away from the Brahminicals, Vedic languages, Sanskrit, and they preferred in the Bhakti movement. I am talking about that. In the they preferred the language of locals language, vernacular language, or the local language in which they could understand the views and the preachings and the sermons of these religious preachers. Understand our sense. Moreover, in the bhakti we have seen that the vernacular or the local language were frequently used for the propagation and communicating to the common man, communicating their views with the common man. Similarly, we see that particularly in the Sufi saints, understand, now they preferred the communications of their views and the principles among the masses in the language of the masses, in the Sufis and the language of the people. They preferred because it was very convenient and the worth understanding. Understand that that's why, particularly if you see the Chishti now followed the language, and particularly in Delhi, in the Delhi around it, the Chishti followed the language, the Chishti Silsila now followed and conversed in the Hindvi. In the Hindvi, they conversed, and Hindvi was spoken around the Delhi. Understand? So the Chishti followed this, and the language, and this is the Delhi was called as the Hindvi was called, and known as the language of the common man. And other Sufi, such as the Baba Farid, composed his verses in the local language. Baba Farid, he wrote his verses in local language, and his which were incorporated in Guru Granth Sahib. In the sixth Guru Granth Sahib, the Hindvi, his Baba Farida language or his converse have been included in the Guru Granth Sahib. Moreover, others composed and other saints, they composed the long poems, composed very long poems, and these poems are called the Masnavis. And through that they wanted to express the idea of divine loving, using the human love as an allegory. Human love. So now he expressed the allegory or a symbolism like that the human loves, like the love between deity and the devotees, and like that the similar love is felt between the two lovers. Understand? Two lovers, that similar feelings is there where. So they have taken these loves as a allegory, and love, and for the example, Prem Akhyan, love story, Padmavat. This has been the composed by Malik Muhammad Jaisi. Understand? And he was a contemporary poet of the Sher Shah Suri. But although Padmavat incident is a very 200 more than 200 years before this incident happened. Understand? And this was the Padmavat story and poems was written. But he wrote on the Padmavat he wrote, and through this way he was a Sufi saint also, Malik Muhammad Jaisi, and he now tried to incorporate and try to realize and get felt what a two lovers now feel when they indulge in the deep love. So similarly, a devotees similarly feels like that when he now indulges and plunge into the supplication of his preferred deities. Understand? So similar kind of the love is felt there, and moreover, in the Padmini romance of the Padmini and the Raja Ratan Sen, king of Chittor, their trials were the symbolic of the soul's journey to the divine. Their trials were symbolic soul's journey to the divine. Such poetic compositions were often recited in hospices. Such kind of the poetic verses were recited in the hospices or in the khanka. Understand? Or as a mark of the love between the devotees and the deity. And such kind of the human loves verses were recited as creating the sama. Such usually during the sama to create the love and create the ecstasy or the permanent in the devotees' minds and the hearts. Oh, okay. So such kind of the language used here, or a different genre of the Sufi, different genre of the Sufi poetry composed in the around the town of Bijapur in the southern. If you talk, I am talking about the northern India. Now go to the southern in the Deccan area, in the Bijapur, where the similar kind of language, Karnataka, Bijapur, was the used a local language. These were short poems of the Dakhni, Deccan, in the Deccan area. The Dakhni, a variant of the Urdu. It was a kind of the Urdu called the Dakhni. This language attributed to the Chishti Sufi who lived in the regions during the 17th or 18th century. जो Sufi रहते थे, they were there in Deccan area. They used this Dakhni, a variant kind of the Urdu language, in the Karnataka or the Bijapur. These poems were probably sung by women, and what the poems were composed? Local poems, sung by the women at the local level and sung by the women while the performing household chores. We know that women say generally they hums whenever they work something. Understand? And those and the household chores, they jointly and together sings. Understand? Sings together when they are at the work similarly and jointly. So they sing something like the grinding grains. Okay, we know that this is the grinding grain. While the women sit together and now they sing together. So at that time moment, these verses were sung. Understand? And a grain and a spinning, something spinning. So they were used to sing. Other compositions were in the form of lurinama, or lullables, and the sadinama or the wedding songs. Lurinama, when the children are not sleeping, children said a child does not sleep. What happens? Lurinama, and moreover, lullables, sadinama, the wedding songs are also composed in that rhythm. These local Sufi saints, they included in their the verses it is likely that Sufis of these regions were inspired by the pre-existing bhakti tradition of the Kannada Vachana, and it is also seems that the Sufi of the that southern India were inspired by the Kannada Vachana, the Sufi saint we have already I have taught you that Nainars or the Alvars they use the local Vachana. So these Sufi saints were also influenced by the Vachana of the Lingayata. Lingayate now they preached and the talk and spread their views in the Vachana. So these Vachana had the impact upon the Sufi saints of that and the Marathi Abhangs, Marathi in Maharashtra, the Abhangs of the Sant of the Pandharpur, Sant of the Pandharpur, used the Abhangs. Understand? So these Abhangs had the impact upon the Sufis. It is through this medium that Islam gradually gained a place in the village of the Deccan, or through this medium, understand, through the taking the or imitating these languages and the songs, Hindu songs, or included into the Sufi songs. Understand? So this now no doubt spread the hold of the Sufis in the whole country. Understand? Their songs and they resembled to the very close to the Hinduism. Understand? So that's now made this religion very much popular, and moreover students, we have to now focus on that Sufi and the state. I have already mentioned that the Sufi and the state, who were very close to the state and the government system, who were very close to the state and government system. Ulama. This class was very ulama. Ulema. We can write that ulema. Ya ulama, ya ulema. Understand? We can write. So here the ulema, this class was very close to the government and close to the system, and they were supposed to be the they laid the emphasis on the Quran, interpretation of Quran, or Sara and Sharia. Understand? Only they were centered on the Sara and Sharia interpretation. But these Sufi saints now, they tried or they experienced differently from the just ulama. Understand? They and know that Sufi ulama were the inclined towards the wealth and the power. They had the inclination and they were associated with the power and royalty. But on the contrary, the Sufis was against these. They were inclined towards the spiritualism, not towards the ulama were associated with the materialism, and Sufis were associated with the completely associated with the spiritualism. So they tried themselves to maintaining the distance from the state power and the government's power and the royal power. They tried to be away from the government's power and laid much upon the austerity, celibacy or mysticism. Understand? They laid the stress on that devotion, love, or their own experience, singing, song, sama, music, dance. This, but on the other hand, understand the ulama were the out and out Sunni, and they did not like this. No music, no dance, no song, like that. Okay, so this was the quite different, a different way of the genre and the branch. Now the major features of the Chishti traditions was austerity. I have already mentioned that. The austerity penance, understand, renunciation. This was the features of these Sufi saints, or now including maintaining the distance from the worldly powers. They now try to maintain the distance from the worldly powers. Understand? And moreover, maintaining from there, and this was by no means, however, no means a situation of absolute isolation from the political, although they could not maintain the complete or absolute isolation from the state and the power. This could not be the feasible in the practical life. Understand? Although they have the theory and the isolation of the political power, Sufis accepted unsolicited grants, and the Sufi began to accept unsolicited grant from and the donations from the political elites, from the sultans, and from the political elites and the royals. They began to accept donations, charity, and the land grants. Okay, land grants they started accepting. Sultans in turn set up the charitable trust, and on the other hand, Sultan set up the charitable trust for them. Awqaf, this is called the Awqaf, as endowments for the hospices, for these khanka, for the upkeeping of these hospices. The sultans now, as endowments for hospices and the trust, they form the trust and upkeeping of the hospices, and gain the tax-free land, and now these hospices gain the tax-free land. Understand? That is called as the inam. Understand? Or through that tax-free land, the hospices were upkept. Understand? That is the for the upkeeping of the hospices. These land grants were given or offered by the sultans or the elites, and the hospices for the upkeeping of hospices, the saints and the Sufis accepted. Lots of examples we have. Understand? Now I am talking about the what is the distance between the state and the Sufis. So we see now that although the principally, understand, in principles they had no attachment with the worldly power and the authority and the attractions, but they could not maintain themselves away from the state and the donation or the grants. Okay. Moreover, students, Chishti accepted donations. They accepted the donations in cash or the kind, whether in form of the any articles and goods and the commodities, rather than accumulated donation. They prefer to use these fully in immediate requirements. Now they prefer Sufi, whatever they got. Understand? They immediately made the expenditure on the fully expenditure very soon. Those whatever they got and accepted, it was the made expenditure upon the food, clothes, and the now the living quarters and ritual necessity as a sama, such as the sama. It was the worth expenditure was made upon the sama, and on that all this enhanced the moral authority. Whatever they got, enhanced the sheikh. Whatever the sheikh got or accepted, he made immediately spent. He spent on the food, on the clothes, on the upkeeping of the houses. Understand? On the sama. So this now, no doubt, enhances moral authority, and moreover, sheikh, which in turn attracted people from all walks of that moral authority. His enhanced moral authority attracted people from the all walk of the life, people from all section of the society, all rich, poor, every occupational group, all now gathered and became the murid. Understand? So now we have seen that life further, their pity and scholarship and people's belief in their miracles power made Sufi popular among the masses. Their miraculous power, their popularity, and people's beliefs in their miraculous power and the popularity and their scholarship and their compassion, understand, or the pity, kindness, these all now made him the very popular among the masses who support the king wishes to earn, and the king wanted to gain the support of the masses. That's why king were inclined to attach with the Sufis, because through the Sufis the kings now used to get the support of the masses, and the wishes of the masses used to get through the providing the grants to the these hospices, upon which the Sheikh had the very strong hold. I suppose that we are understanding well, and moreover, kings did not simply need to demonstrate their association with the Sufis, they also required the legitimation from them, and the king, on the other hand, used to get the legitimation. Understand? A legitimation means the legal recognition. They were source of the king's legal recognitions. King's lawful recognitions the king acquire and get from the Sufis. How? When the Turks set up the Delhi Sultanate in India, we know very well, when the Turks set up the Delhi Sultanate in India, what happened? Set up that they insisted of the ulama on imposing the Sharia states law, because they anticipated opposition from their subject. One thing is that now the king had their and the association with the Sufi. Why? Because one group, I am talking again and again about them, the ulama class. This class and the king had a conflict over what? The ulama wanted the Shara and Sharia to be implemented in a pure form even upon the Hindus. But the king always resisted with this ulama class. Understand? So to redeem the influence of the ulama, dominance of the ulama, the king now inclined towards the Sufis, toward the Sufi saints. The king drew his legitimacy from the kings, because the kings was not in favor of implementation of the Sharia in true form in India, because they knew that they are living in a strange land, and the majority of the peoples are the Hindus here. So the Shara and Sharia could not be implemented, and they had the conflict with the ulama. So to make the balance of this conflict, the king inclined and now bring out another poles against the ulama. Understand? So this was the policy behind the king, sultans, ulama, in imposing the Sharia state law, because they anticipated opposition from their subjects. Understand? Because they anticipated, or king also, the sultan felt that or anticipated that sometimes their subjects could be the revolt against them. But Sheikh was mediation, a safety ball for the sultans. Sheikh became a safety ball for the sultans. because Sheikh had the very strong hold in the amongst the common man. And king always remained the friendly and cooperative to the Sheikhs. And the majority of the whom were non-Muslims, and majority of the Sufis and the followers were the non-Muslims. And non-Muslims support the king's god, sultan gods through these Sikhs who had a strong hold among the non-Muslims also, among the Hindu also. Here is a thing is that the majority of whom the sultans then sought out the Sufis who derived their authority directly from God. Sultan then sought out of the Sufis who derived their authority directly from God and did not depend on the jurist on interpreting the Sharia. Understand? So the sultans then sought out the Sufis who derived their power from the directly from the gods, not from the Sarah and Sharia, and the jurist and did not depend on the jurist to reinterpret the Sharia. Okay. In other hands, we see, beside it was believed that Aulia could intercede with God in order to improve the material, and moreover, Aulia was supposed, Aulia means the very close to the God and Allah. So it was supposed that Aulia could intercede with the God. He had the very close intercede with the God in order to improve the material and spiritual condition of the ordinary human being. It was a belief that, general belief that Aulia had the spiritual, now the improve the material or spiritual conditions of the ordinary human beings, because he had a very closeness to the Allah. Aulia is very close to the Allah. This explains why king often wanted their tombs to be in the vicinity of the Sufi shrines and the hospices. This was the reason that the sultans now got constructed their tombs to be in the vicinity of the Sufi shrines on the hospices. Now the Aulia was supposed to be very close to the Allah. That's why the tombs and the tombs to be constructed. The kings often wanted the tombs to be constructed in the vicinity of the Sufi shrines or the hospices. This was the reason of that. Moreover, there were instances of conflict between Sultan and Sufi. कभी कभी ऐसा मिलता है कि both had the conflict also. कई instances है. सीधी मौला का भी एक इंस्टेंसेस है जो अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के साथ है, उनका संघर्ष था. अंडरस्टैंड? और एक चैलेंज था. नाउ here the Sufi to assert their authority both expected that certain rituals be performed, such as prostration and the kissing of the feet. Sometimes before the going to the Sufis, to assert their authority, the kings both expected the certain rituals to be performed, such as prostration and the kissing of the feet. ये prostration और kissing of the feet that is the Persian rituals or that Balban had introduced in the Darbar, in his court. Understand? Balban had introduced this in his court. Prostrate and the kissing the feet. This was the rituals. So upon that the Sheikh and the sultans had sometimes conflict. Occasionally the Sufi Sheikh was addressed with the high sounding titles. Sometimes Sufi used to assume the high sounding title that was used to now penetrate the sultans. Understand? So that's, for example, disciples of Nizamuddin Aulia addressed him as a Sultan ul Masaik, literally the Sultan amongst the Sikhs. So these titles were are now conflicting to the sultans. Since the empire was uh, prostrating and the kissing the feet, and on the basis of the assuming the titles of the sultan, upon that sometimes the sultan and Sufis had the certain strained relation, strained and the conflict. Understand? So here we have students. I suppose that what is the relation between the sultans and state? You could understand well, na? I suppose that you are very intelligent students. You all are. I know, na. You all are the very intelligent. I have taught you the class 11th, na. I know very well. Although I did not just get yours result and like that, but I suppose you are the very intelligent and will be the intelligent and secure the good marks. Understand? So now this topic very carefully. One advice is that कि बहुत ही very carefully मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ एक टॉपिक बहुत स्लो चल रहा हूँ और चलना भी है इसमें पर्टिकुलरली इन दिस मिडिवल इंडिया में क्योंकि टर्म्स आर वेरी डिफिकल्ट है दैट ग्रेजुअली आप धीरे धीरे समझेंगे और मेरे पढ़ाने से पहले भी आप एक बार पढ़ लेंगे once you go through and after my teaching आप एक बार और पढ़ लीजिएगा this is my request and my अनुभव और एक्सपीरियंस गिविंग टू यू एक बार पढ़ लीजिएगा वट एवर यू लिसन मुझे सुना एक बार पढ़ लीजिएगा उसके बाद मैं समझता हूँ कि एवरीथिंग विल बी द क्लियर एंड इफ द क्लियर दैट इज द लर्नड वेरी वेल ओके नो प्रॉब्लम नो मैटर ऑफ द सो आज के लिए बस इतना ही माय डियर और नेक्स्ट हाँ ओके फर्दर टॉपिक